Nstudio Digital.
Well, right now, Tony Drootin is answering his phone.
Who is Tony Drootin?
I am the manager at Daddy's House Recording Studios right now, and I've been here about 3 years. I also own a small studio up on 51st Street called Area 51 NYC Studios. It's 2 production rooms with Pro Tools, vocal booths, tons of gear, and a mastering room. And you know, in the past I've dabbled in some management. I've had a label. I do a lot of consulting. I'm a father of 2 and a 27-year veteran in the music industry. So.
What are you currently working on?
Well, at Daddy's House Studios, basically I'm running the facility for Mr. Combs, and we're doing 3 things with the studio. We're basically doing some improvements. We're trying to draw more commercial business into the facility as opposed to it being exclusively for bad boy, artist productions. And we've been working on fixing up the aesthetics and the infrastructure and the operations of the facility. Everything from cleaning the consoles up, addressing equipment issues, air conditioning issues, electric issues that might be there, and doing some changes with the staff and the procedures, getting it to function more as a commercial studio than a private studio means that it basically just needs to operate differently. And as far as the aesthetics, we've been doing some improvements and working on some design options, and we're looking to hopefully do a renovation of the facility as well. At Area 51 Studios, I'm the owner of the studio, and I have a partner named Roy Shamir. That is a mid-sized room facility, and we don't have large format consoles. I'd say we're more of a quote-unquote project studio, even though we do have quite a lot of high-profile artists there. I have quite a large phone book from the years in the industry. Just to give you an example, we just recorded voiceover work for the Undersecretary of the United Nations. ASAP Rocky was in last night. DMC was in the other day. We've had everything from Esperanza Spalding to Usher to Warren G to LL Cool J. So much like Daddy's House, which obviously has a long history, my place is building one, and I'm quite proud of that. I'm also working on a number of other business-related projects, putting together some business plans for some things that hopefully will be very exciting when I finally announce what they are.
How did you get started in the music business?
I wouldn't say it was accidental and I stumbled my way in, but it wasn't intentional. My father was a drummer, quite a popular jazz drummer, and he worked at a club in Manhattan called Eddie Condon's, which was one of the top jazz clubs back in its day. So, my father was always on the road playing with people. I've got Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday's autograph and all the old school jazz musicians. My father was very good friends with Charlie Parker and Miles and all of that era of jazz musicians. My mother was, I wouldn't say the opposite, but my mother was a classically trained pianist, was a music therapy teacher in the New York City Board of Education system, and taught private lessons at home. I started playing an instrument at a very young age, so as far as music training, that was something that was built into me from a very young age. I didn't go to college with that in mind, but I did go to college, and when I graduated college, I ended up having a music major in college, a percussion major, and when I graduated, literally I I had no idea I was going to work in a recording studio, and my current partner, Rowie, was working at a place called Unique Recording Studios. He was becoming the chief engineer there. He was the assistant engineer to Chris Lord-Alge and a lot of very popular engineers at that time. And I started at Unique as a receptionist, working midnight to 10 a.m. in the morning. I worked my way through the system. I'd say within a year and a half, I was the assistant manager of the facility. Very shortly thereafter, I was the manager of the facility. I started a management company, managing recording and mix engineers. Songwriters and producers started gravitating towards me and asking me to manage them. I guess I was very successful at it at the time, so a lot of people wanted to have me handle their business back then. And that grew into an offer to start managing 13 years later after I started, the position of manager at Sony Music Studios became available, and I interviewed that and got the job. And I was at Sony Music Studios for 10 years, managing the recording studio operation over there and dealing very closely with sales and some of the other departments, and which was just a wonderful experience. And when Sony announced its closing, I had a business plan and I had investors, and that's a longer story, but from that situation grew Area 51, and at the time that I was opening Area 51 Studios, Mr. Combs approached me about managing his facility, and here I am today.
Why do you do what you do?
Well, it's a good question. I ask myself that every day. I've been doing it for a long time, and you go through stages in your career that you start out with eyes wide open and looking at the music industry and all the the famous people and the people that you enjoy listening to, and it's great to hear stuff you're working on the radio and see things up at the Grammy Awards and be in the room with the artists. And I think it's a combination of everything. The music industry is a labor of love. It's definitely changed drastically over the years, and it's a very difficult business to be in right now. It's not for the faint at heart, and I think it's a combination of everything. And when you look at the business with hindsight and everything that you experience and learn, you start realizing more and more the separation between what is the business side of the music industry and what is the musical enjoyment side of the music industry. And there's certain parts of both of that that I enjoy still. And to be very honest, there's certain parts of it that I don't enjoy very much as well. I think some of the music that's coming out today is recorded poorly and written poorly, but that's a whole different conversation. And the music business side of it can be trying at times, but it can also be very rewarding. So it's a combination of a lot of things, and I can't really think of a lot of other things I'd rather be doing, actually.
What is your favorite part about the recording process?
Well, I mean, I'm a musician and I'm a drummer, so I love seeing a live tracking session happen. And there's so many different, because of technology now and because of the different genres of music, there's so many different studio setups for the various genres of music that are being recorded today. Two-tracking a hip-hop vocalist to a beat, as we call it, two-tracking, which is basically just doing vocals to a stereo track that somebody has, tends to not be the most exciting thing in the whole world to watch as a recording engineer and as a studio manager. With the right person behind the mic, rapping, it can be exciting, seeing history being made, but the process itself is not exactly the most exciting thing in the whole world. Being in a room with a 120-piece orchestra or a 60-piece orchestra, and which I experienced quite a lot at Sony, and seeing every section being mic'd, all the cue boxes and the cue mixes being set up, and the conductor's podium, and the console setup, and all the gear and the personnel that goes into that, and then seeing all of those quality musicians in one room at a time, reading sheet music, and a conductor taking them through the motions. And back at Sony, they were looking at a score scrolling on a screen, and possibly the movie that they were doing the soundtrack to on a separate screen, and all of the facets that go into that and the excitement that go into that were just absolutely breathtaking, seeing that done properly. And then seeing a rock and roll band, let's say Aerosmith, Train, Maroon 5, a lot of these independent artists are incredibly talented these days, and seeing a band just come in and do their thing in a room with their instruments, and seeing the whole miking process, and running through of the songs, and I mean, that's a very exciting thing as well, and very enjoyable to see someone who really knows how to record that well, and a bunch of really good musicians actually playing real instruments in a room together. That's the reason I got into this. Honestly, the hip hop world, I've been through quite a lot of it, and not a comment on the genre of music at all, but in the studio it tends not to be that exciting, to see the process.
What do you love most about the music business?
Well, that's a hard one. Honestly, I think just being involved in something that brings pleasure to so many people, and it sounds corny, but it isn't. Music is a fabric of everyone's lives, from wedding music, the music your grandparents used to listen to, church music. Everyone these days looks at Twitter and looks at YouTube, and everyone thinks, I wouldn't say everyone, but the younger generation thinks of music as Waka Flocka, French Montana / Lady Gaga meets Usher meets whoever, Justin Bieber. Music is much deeper than that, and there's all different kinds of genres of music that are cultural, are ethnic, are are regional, and it's just enjoyable knowing that I'm involved on any given day, that I can go from one type of music to another type of music. And to me, it doesn't matter whether it's in Billboard or not. If you enjoy music, it's good music. To be judgmental and say that, oh, I hate hip hop, I hate rock and roll, this rock and roll band stinks. Power to you. If you like it, that's great. And quite honestly, I like being involved in every facet of it, and seeing someone, my family or my kids friends, listening to something and being able to say, what, actually I was involved in that, and seeing them enjoy it.
What is the most difficult thing about managing a recording studio?
Well, a recording studio is like any other business. If you take away the people that are working in it, the clients that are working in it, my famous quote is that a recording studio is a hotel with a lot of very expensive equipment in it. So much like a hotel, there's a lot of things that go into the management of it that aren't the most glamorous things in the whole world. There's paying the rent, making sure that there are coffee stirrers and paper towels. There's making sure that the facility is clean, and that includes the bathrooms and the control rooms and the equipment and everything else. There's the management of the staff, payroll issues. There's dealing with clients, sales, the setup of the sessions that are coming in and getting all the logistics together, invoicing, collections. I'd have to say my least favorite thing of all is collecting money. I feel I provide a service, and the people I work for provide a service. You're coming in, we provide a service in good faith, and we do a great job. and for people to take advantage of that and not pay their bills on a timely basis. I just hate dealing with that because it's just, no one likes collecting money, put it that way. Putting together the sessions, working on the sessions, watching the sessions occur, that's enjoyable to me. Everything else is just the minutia of running a business, and that's something that you sign on for when you manage a recording studio.
It's work.
Yeah, it's work like anything else.
What is your management style?
Well, I don't know whether I have a management style, but I'll tell you what, I believe in knowing what you're talking about and researching what you're talking about. And if you're managing producers, you should know how producers make money. If you're managing songwriters, you should know the publishing business and how songwriters make money. If you're managing engineers, you need to have a good phone book, and you need to know people that are working on projects. You need to research what projects are coming up, and you know, it's learning your craft is very important. Just knowing people and saying I'm a manager, it means nothing. Anybody can manage something. I liken it to anybody can say I'm a drummer. Anybody can go out and buy the most expensive drum kit in the world, but if you don't know how to play it, it's a piece of junk sitting in the corner of the room. So, you know, first thing I did was when I started managing, I started reading every single contract that my clients were getting from top to bottom 2 or 3 times. So by, you know, within the first year, I was not asking the attorneys what the contract said. I was telling them what I wanted it to say. And from that point on, knowing what I was doing and knowing what standard contracts were, this comes to the songwriting side of management. As far as the studio style, I look at it as we're a team, and everyone needs to play in, you know, we're all in the trenches together, and we all need to work together as a team. Everybody needs to hold up their end of their job description. I expect everybody to give 110% of themselves to the job. I want people to enjoy what they're doing. And I'm not the kind of person that cracks a whip and screams at people. I'm more of a kind of a person that will absolutely take you aside, tell you when you're not doing something right, and hope for a correction, and it's up to you to correct your behavior, otherwise there's going to be some changes made. So the other side of it is that as far as the clients are concerned, I'm not the kind of guy that gets in the camera lens every 5 minutes and takes a picture with my clients. I want to respect their privacy, and I want them to enjoy themselves in the studio, which means that, again, it gets back to the hotel, which is you become the concierge at the hotel. Not only are you dealing with the staff on the session, the setup on the session, but you need to know where the nearest sushi place is in a 5-block radius, the nearest 7-Eleven, and the best Starbucks in Times Square. So, you know, it's really a multifaceted job, and you wear a lot of hats, and you need to deal with your staff. You need to deal with, you need to flip your hat and deal with collections, and you may not be the nicest guy in the world when you're trying to collect your money. Then you're booking studio time, and you need to put a smile on and say that, you know, we've got the best coffee in town. You really wear a lot of hats. So if a style was to be pinpointed, I would say it's being a jack of all trades. And